Jesus Christ. Looking back at the intro today, it was really shaky. I am so sorry. Ay vey. One day, I will get better equipment. One day. Anywho's.
And gets along well with my nieces. Sadly, having that common problem did mean it was still a problem. I was of some minor assistance handing doctors or nurses tools thanks to actually having hands, but that was the limit of my direct help, or so I believed.
No.
Have you ever heard of therapy dogs? They're canines specifically trained and kept by hospitals because their very presence helps relieve the suffering of the patients.
Yeah, that's a really
They're
nice
there to be
thing.
emotional support and a comforting presence, a companion to make the pain and loneliness of being hospitalized more bearable. I didn't know this at the time, but I did notice that the longer I stayed there, the more the patients seemed to look forward to my visits with the nurses and doctors. While I had been kind to them, as anyone would be, my presence and the kindness I offered did seem to make them genuinely happier.
Yeah, of
The doctors
course.
noticed this as well, and asked if I could perhaps stay a little longer than I was planning to and simply spend time with the patients. This was not an easy choice, all things considered, as Tarek did have his own journey and adventure to continue. He couldn't stay in Ponyville. There was no questioning that. So, in the end, I had to choose between staying in a place I seemed to at least be of some help or continue my search. Tarek's response was to promise to stay in contact. If I decided this wasn't my place, he'd buy my train ticket to where we could meet up again.
Aw, see, that's a good brother right there. Ah, family goals.
Ultimately parted ways.
Oh.
I will admit, it wasn't until Tarek's first letter reached me that I was able to relax. I was fearful of losing Tarek as I had the master. That was a fear that took a few years for me to overcome. Thankfully, I did have Nurse Redheart and Nursery Rhyme to be my friends and companions in the meantime.
That's so sweet. That picture is so cute. I want it. I want it. That should be framed and put somewhere. That art is so cute.
Without Tarek's direct presence, if I hadn't had some
Yeah, with Tarek in the background. That picture right there deserves to be framed somewhere.
grateful to them. Speaking of companionship, I began to do as the doctors wished and be just that around the hospital. And as I did, I began to notice the underlying causes of some of that suffering my presence was meant to help with. Some ponies, for example, feared that their family had forgotten them, that no one cared for them any longer. Others feared that they might not recover from their injuries.
Oh.
Still others feared that the doctors might discover something even worse was wrong with them. While it wasn't my job, I couldn't resist trying to help them any more than I could have resisted aiding Cherry Jubilee or the other ponies I met along my journeys. Having the knowledge I had was a blessing, as I was able to reassure the ones that feared about their health that it was in their mind. And even if it wasn't, the doctors should be able to help.
Aww.
I was a constant companion for those that were lonely and had no pony at all. And I suggested that those who feared their loved ones had forgotten them to speak with their loved ones about their fears, and in the meantime remain their friend and confidant. And it didn't end there. Sometimes I would walk into the waiting room upon ponies who were worried. I remember a specific moment when Miss Cherry had brought a filly who had gotten badly injured playing and sincerely feared she'd failed the child somehow.
No, Cheerilee, no!
Watchful enough. I simply listened and only spoke to give my advice. I told her I sometimes felt as if I failed others no matter how hard I tried, but that my brother had taught me that beating myself up over it wouldn't solve anything.
That's good advice right there.
To remind him of in turn.
Hashtag Tarek Dragon
If she
2017.
didn't wish to fail the child, then she needed to be there now, at least until their parents arrived. That was actually a common occurrence with ponies in the waiting room. They felt that somehow the suffering and pain of their loved one was somehow due to negligence or a mistake on their own part. The guilt that came with that tearing them up. And I did my best to be with them and shared my experiences, gave what advice I could.
I feel them
I
both,
even began to
Cheerily
make use
and
of the
Dr. Wolf.
hospital's library to study up on psychology and aiding others with emotional pain, adding that knowledge to the vast stores I'd taken from the library in the desert, and filling in the gaps that still remained.
Sleepy
As I
Wolfie.
helped, ponies in Ponyville itself began to take notice. Some merely asked if I was around when they visited the hospital, either as a patient or as a visitor.
Aw.
Some ultimately came solely to see me. I admit the first time that happened, I was quite shell-shocked. Never before had some pony actually sought me out for help. I'd always wanted it, but when it actually happened, it took me sincerely off guard. And throughout this, I began to feel satisfied and content. I couldn't quite put my paw on it, but a part of me felt I was on the threshold of a door I needed to open.
Indeed.
Ponies began to call me Dr. Wolf. I believe at first it was playful, just some simple nudging and joking. But gradually, it actually started to become less of a nickname and more a genuine sign of respect for what I'd been able to do for them. The door finally opened one day when Nursery Rhyme, in that innocent way children often do, hit the nail on the head with a comment. She simply told me, "I wish I could help ponies as much as you do."
Aww.
It wasn't jealousy. It wasn't envy. It was simply a child saying, "I want to be like you when I grow up."
Oh my god, that's so
I literally
cute.
stopped in my tracks.
Dun
All
dun.
that time, I hadn't been helping ponies as I had out of a desire to find my place or seek out some hidden meaning. I'd been helping whenever I saw some pony who needed a shoulder to cry on or a listening ear to open up to. I'd always thought I was helping the hospital staff by being a therapy dog. But when Nursery Rhyme said that, it hit me that I really had been helping all of this time. Not just at the hospital, but throughout my journey.
So cute. And that face. That face is the face of a proud Wolfie. Anywho's, I'm going to end this part here. I'll be back in a minute.